Hi guys, and welcome to my house renovation episode 2. In today's video I'm going to be giving you a full walkthrough explaining what we're planning on doing, and later in the video I'm going to share our estimated budget on what we hope to spend on the works. First of all, before I get started, please let me introduce myself. My name's Gary. I run the channel Free Your Finance. I talk about investing, property and the journey towards financial independence. If this sounds like something you may wish to watch a little more of, don't forget you can hit that subscribe button below. So last week I shared episode 1 of our house renovation, and I mostly went through the journey of finding the property and some of the financial details about it. This week I'm actually going to go through an actual walkthrough of the property, show the sort of works that we're planning on doing, and hopefully if you guys have any suggestions, please leave them in the comments box. So to start with, I'm going to watch the footage along with you guys and explain what we're planning on doing. So first of all, as soon as you walk through the front door, you've got this sort of mini hallway, and immediately on your left you've got the downstairs cloakroom. When we purchased the property, it had an electric heater in it, which is not brilliant, so we did plan on putting central heating into that bathroom. The second sort of problem we had with that bathroom is that round porthole window you can see. What we found out from a few quotes is those windows are actually custom made. They're quite sort of a specialist window. The problem with it is it's got a lot of gaps and holes. The frame's a bit mouldy and manky, so it does need to be replaced. One of the companies we went to see actually quoted £1,800 for that one window, which of course, being only 600mm wide, was quite a lot of money. But I'll speak more about the windows a bit later in today's video. As well as that round window, there is a little small window there that we need replacing too, because they're both old. So flipping 180 back on ourselves, you go through into the lounge. As you come into the lounge, you'll see that although some of the works are quite old, it is actually in really good condition. We've since obviously started removing wallpapers and stuff, and the plaster underneath is actually fantastic. We've had a few tradespeople actually comment how good our plaster is, which is a big compliment, I believe, in the renovation world. The lounge is a good size. It's 24 foot in length. That chimney breast we are planning on taking down, and I'll explain more why a bit later in this video. At the other end of the room we have the French doors, which is a really great feature of this room. Lets in so much light. This wall between the lounge and the kitchen we're planning on removing completely. We actually have a builder starting very soon, and we'll be documenting all about that. This is a current kitchen space which we're going to be opening completely up. I'm going to show you the plan of what we've drawn ourselves in just a second. So just before I show you the plan, it's important you see where the doorway to the stairs currently is, just so the following bit makes sense. So right now that doorway is in the lounge area. The problem with that, with both the door from the front door coming into the lounge and that door going into the stairways, two of the walls are used up in the lounge, which makes positioning of sofa and television quite difficult. So here is our new plan idea. It's only in the idea stage, but we're starting to get close to what we think we're going to go ahead with. The door you can see on the complete left side of the picture is the front door, so the other side of that is the downstairs WC. And you'll see that there is no longer a door into the stairs there in the lounge area. Instead, the door has been moved into the kitchen. So we're actually going to make a doorway into the hall to the stairs there. That currently is the old boiler cupboard. By moving that door, we've got the whole of that wall now in the lounge, which is going to allow us to put a nice big telly up there and be far enough away from the telly that you don't feel like you're sort of sitting on top of it. Originally our plan was to have a big kitchen diner coming right across the whole width of the house. We've ended up deciding on going back towards the peninsula idea, because that will then give us the flexibility of both having the breakfast bar and the dining table, and it also allow us to move things around. Our idea now is to actually put the hob on the peninsula on the breakfast bar, so the hood will come off that back wall and over the top of the centre of the peninsula. Let us know in the comments if you prefer the hood on the back wall or over the peninsula. I'll be interested in hearing your thoughts. Please note that this plan is not that great. This is something I've drawn myself. So a further update for downstairs. You can see we've removed all of the wallpaper where we would like the radiators to go. The reason being is so we could properly get the walls cleaned, so they'll be ready for decorating at a later stage. The chimney has now been disconnected, so it is now ready to be knocked out by the builder, and obviously you can see some wires hanging down. The electrician's been in starting to put some of the wires in the correct places. The heating engineers come in and they've installed all of the central heating, which is fantastic. So we've now got the combi boiler, a Worcester Bosch combi boiler. We've got all the old hot air system taken away. Everything was done nice and efficiently, and we're very happy. One of the first problems we've had is when the engineers left, they just left this sort of capped pipe just sticking out in the middle of the room, right next to the chimney. Obviously, once the chimney had come out, that's going to be right in the middle of the room. We've since called them and they've come back, and to be fair to them, they have removed it. There was a few other problems, like they left these pipes in. They also left this sort of old vent hanging out of the roof, even this sort of pipe here sticking out when they knew that this was going to be used. So now if we head upstairs, first of all I'll show you the original video showing you what upstairs was like. As you can see, it's got quite funky colours and carpets and pink walls and green floors and red floors. It wasn't decorated to our taste, but I'm sure it was a beautiful home to someone once upon a time. There's actually the top of the chimney stack that comes up into one of the rooms upstairs. It's actually much narrower upstairs, which is quite handy that we don't have to pay money to get it removed upstairs, as it's not really in the way. This blue suite I'm sure was very, very fashionable once upon a time, but of course we're going to be ripping this all out and putting in a fresh modern suite. I was really wanting to have a shower in there as well as a bath, but we went and saw a bathroom designer and there was a few different ideas that were being thrown around, but it was going to end up with such a small bath and a small shower. It would have just been a compromise. Into the master bedroom, as I mentioned in the last video, this room is almost 16 foot. You can see our double bed barely filling the room at all. Again, as I mentioned earlier in the video, the walls are actually in fantastic condition. There are lots of cracks and hairline cracks as you'd expect, but the actual plaster itself is really, really smooth and in great condition. And then finally into the third room. When we first purchased it, it had these big cupboards in at the end of the room, which held the old hot water tank, and the cupboards next to it were old storage cupboard. Over the next few clips you'll see that we've actually smashed them out completely. The plumbers have been in and got rid of the old system, but as you can see they'd left that pipe. That wall's going to be knocked out, so it was unfortunate they didn't notice that the cupboards were being destroyed and they put the new pipe onto the wall, but they have been back to sort that problem. So this is what the room looks like now. All of the cupboards have been removed, the pipes have been removed, everything's been knocked completely out, which has brought us about another 2 foot in this room. So this is a third room and it's now over 12 foot, which I think is great size for a third bedroom. Coming back out into the hallway, you'll actually see that knocking the cupboards out, we've damaged the wall quite badly, which is a pain and it's going to be more cost fixing that. But ultimately, I think knocking the cupboards out is going to make the room a much nicer space. So now, next up, we're going to move on to our budget, onto a spreadsheet that I've made. It's nothing special, it's just to give both us and you a rough idea of expected costs. So working from left to right, the first box you'll see is kitchen. So the kitchen fitting, we do know it is going to be roughly around that figure, as we've had a friend who is a carpenter in to quote on our old plans. And then the kitchen design we've currently put in at 7k. Just to point out, I have added a budget column and an actual column. Obviously the budget is how much we have in our mind it's going to cost, and the actual column we'll fill in once we find out how much we spend. So on the right you've got our living room costs. Right now we haven't added much, but we've got £200 on decorating, £400 on carpet and £300 on new skirting board down there. The second section down on the left is household costs. So this is actually going to cover quite a lot of the rooms, but in one whole sort of one-off cost. Firstly, electrician, we've budgeted up to 4k. Next up was the central heating. As I said earlier in the video, we've actually had this one done. Originally we budgeted at about 6k, and the first two quotes we got in were actually well over 6k. We ended up getting all the central heating, a Worcester Bosch combi boiler, the old system taken away, all the rads, everything for £4,763. So we thought that was quite a good price. Next up was the builder's quote. We were quite unsure on this one, and we'd read online that having the wall taken out would be anywhere between 3 and 5 grand, and then the chimney coming out would be about 1,500 quid. So we put down 4.5k. We've ended up getting the quote in at 3,850 for the whole lot, so that's very good and we're very pleased with that. Then on to the windows. The first couple of companies we had in both quoted pretty much identical at 3,800. We ended up getting the windows that we require at 2,950. I'll go through what windows we're having replaced in a future episode and why. Then there's internal doors at £1,500, fences at 2,000. The plastering, as I said, is in quite good condition, but obviously there's going to be some plastering required with walls being knocked down and cupboards being knocked down. We've put the whole lot down at 2k. Next up was a structural engineer. The first couple of builders we had in said that that was going to cost us around 800 quid. We ended up getting the structural drawings for 300 quid. And then finally the building regs. We wasn't exactly sure how much this was going to be, and it ended up being just over 200 quid. So then onto the right of the spreadsheet, we've got the entrance hallway. We've just got £150 for decorating and £50 for flooring. It is only a tiny little space. Moving down to the third section, we've got the stairway and landing. Decorating we've got down at £300, flooring £500, and the banisters £250. The master bedroom currently we've only got down the decorating at £150 and the carpet at £300. So in my office we've got down decorating at £150, carpet at £200 and skirting board at £200, as obviously where we're ripping the old cupboards out we are going to need new skirting board in that room. And then in Katie's office we've got decorating down as £150 and carpet at £200. Onto the final section, we've got the main bathroom. We've got the appliances at £2,000. Having done research, this is going to get us really good quality quality appliances, which is what we're after. The tiles at £300 and the bathroom fitting at around 2k. And then the downstairs toilet, we've got the appliances down at £400, the tiles at £200 and the fitting at £900. So overall that gives us a budget total of £48,800, which if that was the case would give us an overall spend on this house of £332,800. Now, as I mentioned in the previous episode, we're estimating the house is going to be worth somewhere in the region of £365-ish, so there would be a nice little bit of profit if this was the case and house prices stayed the same and our budget come in around this. So that gives you a bit of an idea of what we've done, what we're planning on spending. Like I said, I'm interested in hearing your thoughts on these costs. Maybe you think we're mad and we're going in way too cheap. Maybe you think we're mad and we're going in way too expensive. Leave your comments below, as we'll be really looking forward to reading them. And apart from that, I'll speak to you very soon. Take care, guys.